Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
Hi, I'm Jessica Faust.
We are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. Someone recently asked us for more videos on what happens after you sign with an agent, so we're delivering. We're going to talk today. We're going to talk today about what revisions look like once you have signed with an agent. So actually, when we were filming another video, we were discussing revising. We wanted to talk about our role and how we as agents view it and how we as agents view our responsibility in that process.
Yeah, and note that revisions won't just happen after you've signed with an agent. You should probably be getting revisions anytime you're going on submission. I guess even in a lot of times with option material, depending on how your agent works. But anytime you're going out on submission specifically, you should probably be expecting that your agent will have some revisions for you.
On offer calls, I always tell prospective clients, I don't think I've ever sent anything out without some level of revision. It's very rare.
Yeah.
Though when it happens, it's great, but very rare. So Jessica, how do you then, when you sign a new client, or when you get any book from a client, how do you see your role? How do you approach a book to revise and edit?
What I always tell clients is that my job is to try to make the book as rejection proof as possible. So I am trying to work with the author to make it the best that the author can make it. And that's really important to me, to say the best the author can make it, because I don't want to try to recreate a book that that doesn't either match the author's vision or this author isn't capable of doing. Not everybody's great at world building. And if I decide you need to create a whole secondary world in your book, maybe that's not something you can do. So that's not good for you. So I want to make the book the best it can be. I want to make it as rejection proof as possible. One of the things I always say is I will sometimes make notes in the manuscript that might seem little and picky, but if it was something that niggled at me, it may niggle at an editor, and I will get so mad if we get a rejection on something that I was too lazy or even maybe protective of myself to point out to the author. Because I think sometimes we get into the sense of, oh, I feel like I'm asking too much. I don't want to ask for even more. And it's those moments when I didn't ask for more that the rejections will come in on, and it's just, I kick myself.
Well, we have received a ton of rejections in our careers. So on some level, there's patterns in rejections, right? We can sort of pick up where an editor is going to say this could have used work or that could have used work. So sometimes, like, we all have our own editorial eye, but a lot of that can be informed by what have people said about our books in the past too. Yeah. So I think while we're editing, we hear that in the back of our head of like, oh, someone's going to say that the world building is slight, or maybe this pacing moved too quick, or what happened here, like continuity, things like that. So when we're reading, we have all of those voices in our head that are telling us something here is not right.
Yeah, and it's just even a moment where I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I'll even just mark it. This didn't make sense to me. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes I'm just distracted, but I would rather have the author see that and have an opportunity to review it and question it and maybe make a change, maybe not, than me just skipping over it.
Yeah, you once told me that we have, like, our gut instinct is often formed by experience. And it's funny because I think that editorial eye is both of those things combined, right? Like, we are like consumers of story. So when we read, we do have those gut instincts of this wasn't right for that character, but also all of that experience is what makes us like, oh, okay, this can be fixed, or this is how I can see this being stronger than what it is. So I think we approach every book with both of those like mindsets of this is not right on a story level, this isn't feeling right to me, but also someone's going to pass on that because of this.
Right. And for me, revisions are about the story, the plotting, the pacing, the world building, the characters, those things. I am not a copy editor. I have never pretended to be. I definitely was not one in a past life.
Jessica has strong anti-feelings about commas.
I don't know. I don't know no good grammar. It is not my job. It never has been. So if you're looking for somebody to copy edit your book, you're not going to get it from me. That's not what revisions are. But the truth is that's not what revisions are once you get an editor either.
Right.
Like what an editor does is give you revisions. Later on down the road, they send it to the copy editor.
Right.
If you have glaring grammatical problems in your manuscript, like you don't know where to put an apostrophe, it's clear that you don't know some basic stuff to me, I will probably pass on it, to be honest, because if it's that problematic throughout the book, it's probably too much for me to take on.
Right.
And honestly, I think most agents will. I think the truth is, like, you've got to come in clean with that yourself. Doesn't mean every comma needs to be perfect. That's what a copy editor will be for down the line. None of us expect that. But you have to know basic grammar and style.
Right. So you said something in the beginning of the video about like knowing what an author can do. And I think that's one of the biggest parts of our jobs when revising is our goal, like our shared goal with the author is to get a book across the finish line, to get an offer on that book, to win an editor and a marketing, like the whole publishing team over, right?
Yeah.
And I think knowing what an author can do is crucial to that, because like you said, like if they can't do something that we think the book needs, it can all fall apart there. And sometimes pushing too far can ruin all chances of getting a book across the finish line.
The worst is when you push too far and you ruin the book.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think that understanding the author's capabilities and pushing them to grow and be better, and not sort of limiting them to stay within a box, there's sort of a thing you do. I think that is the hardest thing for agents and editors to learn. And as you know, I think everybody, I mean, and I remember once long ago, I had an author who was really frustrated with their editor because they felt their editor was just rewriting the book and making it their own, and ultimately over editing, like making it what was no longer the author's vision and voice and things like that. And I said, that's a young editor. And they sort of haven't learned the boundaries of the job of editing and revising, and also knowing when the author has done their best and quit and stepping away from the potential of what you want the book to be versus what the author wants the book should be and what the book should be.
Right. Our job, and sort of what I was trying to get at too, is like our job is not to make a book perfect. There's no such thing. Our job is to sell, like get a book in a place that we can sell it. And also keep in mind that, as I said, our job is not to make a book perfect. So that means that when we do sell it, it will not be perfect to a publisher. There will most likely be another, stage of edits that you're working on with your editor and your copy editor that then take that book to what a publisher might deem perfectly publishable for them. So I think that like there's a lot of misconception about editing, that the book is going to get to the spot where it's like starred reviews all over the place, like everyone's going to love it. But the truth is that no book is ever that. Like it's always subjective, and we can only do the best we can with the book and what you can do with your writing.
Yeah, and there's often this also, I think, a misconception that we have to do this editing because editors don't edit anymore. And similar to what I said is, I won't take on a book that is very clear to me that it needs copy editing, because that's not my job. An editor doesn't take on a book that they feel needs a complete plot change, or there's a pacing problem, or the ending falls apart, because their job isn't to make those very beginning changes. Their job is to polish it even further than we already did. Right. So those are sort of the stages, I think, of where it needs to be before it can go to that next person. And so our job is to fix those sort of bigger things before it goes on to the editor, who will just add that extra shine on their end.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we hope that was helpful. We hope it gives some insight into how an agent might approach revising your book with you prior to submitting it. If you have thoughts on that, leave them in the comments below. But we post new videos every Wednesday. We hope to see you back here next time. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bye.